What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back again for some more Trove. This is going to end up being more of an information dump where we're not going to be talking about gameplay or anything. I do want to be candid with you guys, though, and let you know the reason this video is coming so late today is because I actually already recorded a video that was ready to go today that was going to talk about the new Trove update, which, spoiler alert, we still don't know anything about it, but we do have some theories. And then they ended up just posting today, which kind of revealed a little bit more. So we'll just show you guys right here. Essentially, they ended up having a tweet that showed this creature, but it was a silhouette. And the original tweet was something along the lines of, this new NPC will help characters reach new heights or something like that, which, you know, we have some theories that we'll go into with that. But this new one that was, known to me today is Trovians meet Gary, who will be joining us in Trove soon. How do you think Gary will help in your adventure? Share your theories and stay tuned for more reveals. So I guess they're teasing, the next update that's coming. We do know that the new update for Trove is going to be coming in March. The devs have confirmed that, which, you know, makes sense as we've theorized and as I've mentioned many times during live streams and such. Come March is usually when we have the biggest update of the year for Trove, but that was not the case for last year. Last year kind of sucked. Also, I want to also just take a moment to say, excuse my lower than usual energy, and I'm basically trying to pace myself because I just feel terrible today. I don't know why some bug just keeps creeping up on me. So anyways, my theory, I have quite a few theories about what this is going to be. We have heard from the devs that the new update isn't going to end up being some big game-changing one, or at the very least, it's not going to end up being a big boy update, which is disheartening. Hopefully, them saying that and the reality don't match up and the update actually is worthwhile, because at the moment it's not looking too good. If I'm being perfectly honest, there's a couple things that we can theorize based on how this NPC looks. Now, you know, this is all just theories, okay, but it's fun for us to share these together. They do say again in the original tweet about this character helping us reach new heights. Now that can be taken one of two ways. Either it can be taken literally and it's got to do with verticality, some new form of height management, getting higher up in the sky or whatever, or maybe it's something related to Cursed Skylands, because of course there's no bottom, so technically it's up in the sky. Or it's not taken literally and just is referring to us having another spike in power. Or reaching another Uber world. That would be the easiest solution for the game right now, would be to just add higher difficulties, because as we all know, those of us that are at the end game, there is no reason for them to continually give us opportunity to become stronger, because our classes can already pretty much handle everything that the game has to throw at us. So U12 or even a new area in general that is higher scaling than U11 would just be the most obvious to me. If we really dig deep, this guy has a dragon face, and they do show him in the hub next to the Dragon Crucible, which, again, that might just be reading too deep into it, because I don't know if the devs have that kind of thought process towards these teases. But we do see that this creature, whatever the heck it is, this amalgamation, this mess, this abomination that deserves death, he is rocking multiple weapon types. So there's the possibility that he is either going to be something related to all classes. Maybe it's just going to be some new form of progression. If I had to guess, the new form of progression is going to end up being the same as every other Trove update, which, as I've referred to many times in the past, is parasitic design. Now, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, but parasitic design basically means that you've got the core gameplay and then everything else around it that feeds into that core gameplay, rather than, and then you got parasitic design, which is kind of just off here doing its own thing. As we've seen, take the most recent parasitic design, which was the martial arts and the mana. These are new resources added to the game for the sake of progressing in those professions alone that don't overall affect the main core mechanics of the game. Sure, you get mastery out of it, but that's basically it. You know, it doesn't end up affecting the gameplay. And unfortunately, what happens time and time again with these parasitically designed content with Trove is it means that once you're done with the new content, then you're just kind of back to doing the same thing as usual. Like, for example, once I end up maxing out all of the allies and mounts in the martial arts, there is no reason for me to ever touch any of the mechanics related to the martial arts. I'm talking the karma or the mana from the other profession, you know, like there's just nothing in relation to the rest of the game. So once you're done with that, you just go back to grinding Uber worlds. And that's kind of the big problem that faces Trove right now. And that's a bigger issue for the developers to look at, if they ever would, is why they're designing the game that way. Now, there's one of two reasons. One is it's cheaper. It's a lot easier and more cost effective to add mechanics that are segmented in their own right, rather than trying to calculate and figure out and integrate a new mechanic that works with the rest of the game. Now, another theory that I have, and this is a little bit far-fetched, but this is something that I've talked about over many years with Trove that I would love to see happen in the game. A huge issue with the game are there's two main things that stand out to me. Namely, dragons need an overhaul. This guy is standing over here by the dragon stuff, so maybe it's going to end up being some new mechanic to get dragons easier, but that doesn't really affect us at the end game. That's more so streamlining the dragon process for everybody else. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and talk about the fact that he's got all these different weapons and gear around him, because gear and loot tables are something that I think we can all agree is severely lacking in Trove. Personally, like, again, this is just a theory, okay? So don't go too crazy about it. Don't get too hyped is what I'm saying, because this is not likely going to be what happens with the update. But so help me, could you imagine if Trove introduced a Diablo loot pool? So rather than just having gear that is a certain rarity, instead it would end up having custom bonuses that would just be passive stats that they would get. And further than that, we could have legendary gear, unique gear, set items. You know, like, how cool would it be if this update introduced a new form of grinding that would essentially work with the core value of the game? Because in my opinion, the funnest aspect of Trove is the grinding aspect, but we don't really have any reason to do it other than it just being fun, which is enough for me because I'm a psychopath and I love Trove. But if I was like grinding the open world and then I was just like, oh my God, guys, we just got the super ultra rare bow that specifically works with the Shadow Hunter. Like, how cool would that be, right? Even if it's just something subtle where it would be like, adds fire to your attacks, that adds a burning damage over time or something, or poison or cold or something. Like, I think that adding elemental effects to Trove would go a long way, especially because they already kind of have those mechanics with a lot of the classes. You know, Ice Sage already can freeze enemies, and the other Ice Sage abilities does slow their movement, which doesn't really translate well in gameplay because the gameplay is so fast paced. But it's just a dream of mine, separate from Trove, to have a third person action game that has a loot pool similar to Diablo, Path of Exile, or even more recently Last Epoch. I just think that that would be so freaking cool. But I would love to hear your guys' theories in the comments below. It does sound like they say stay tuned for more reveals. So another thing that I did want to draw attention to is just the other day, I tried going onto the test server for Trove on PC, and it did have an update. So it means that the update is getting ready to launch. There's no clear indication when the update is going to end up hitting. We just know it's going to be in March. If I had to guess, I'd say like a couple weeks from now, maybe the second week into March. But I don't know, maybe it'll just be right at the beginning. That would be pretty cool. But again, you can sound off in the comments what you guys think. I'm excited for it, but I'm also cautiously optimistic because last year was just so ridiculously lackluster with the Gunslinger rework that was garbage, titles update, which was mechanically extremely complicated and I'm sure required a lot of designing from the developers, but ultimately it was an update nobody cared about. Same with the Trove taxes update. Like, that's kind of the problem. And I always defend the developers in the fact that I know how difficult and how much time it took for them to add these mechanics to the game. I do not discredit the amount of hard work that the team over at Gamigo has been doing with Trove. The problem is that they kind of got to rein in their own thoughts of what they think is going to be good for the game's future and economy and actually start listening to players. So I really hope that this is that and isn't just another lackluster update that the devs think is cool. And then in reality, it's just like, okay, it's just another profession or some other aspect of the game that's going to come and go. But that's my 2 cents towards it.